So if you're watching this, you probably already agree that Hasbro's prices for the Marvel Legends is kind of getting out of control. And with that in mind, there's always going to be, an aftermarket that is trying to make some money off that. And that aftermarket actually includes China. So China is really known for a lot of things, but one of them are knockoffs. And that's what we're looking at today. So Marvel Legends Venom, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, I think from 2 years ago, maybe. And at the time, I want to say it was probably like 60 bucks, maybe even 40. I can't remember exactly. But right now on eBay, it's going for about 100 loose or sealed in box. And it's not a bad price, I guess, for a exclusive figure, but it kind of is a crappy price for something that is really still just plastic, right? And more recently on AliExpress, we've seen that there is a listing for a Retro Venom, the same exact one in box on card that is available for really, really cheap. So I bought one so you don't have to, and that way we can see if it's actually worth it or not. Unfortunately, I don't have the original box of mine. I went ahead and unboxed it because I've got way too many figures to keep all of them in box, but I can at least compare it to the actual figure that I know is legit because I bought this from Hasbro itself. So let's just get right into it. So if you've never ordered anything from AliExpress, it's gonna look like this, where it's just in packaging like this. It almost never comes in like a box because it always costs more for it to be a box. So they usually ship it in some kind of just soft plasticky material. And generally speaking, it's gonna be like bubble wrapped or foam wrapped and then wrapped in another layer of plastic like this is. So like I said, wrapped in bubble wrap. So just so you know, I paid less than 30 bucks for this. I want to say it was like just under 27 after shipping, and that's in box. There's an option to buy this, I think on card or maybe even loose for a little bit cheaper, but it wasn't that much more to get it just in box. All right, so you can see that there's a crease already on the box. That could have happened during shipment. It could have just already been like that when they sold it. We've got some smashing over here. This corner is better, but still not great. More creasing over here. But the box otherwise looks really, really legit. Even as much as to have an imprint of numbers right here. So this could in fact actually be like the actual box, as in like they just figured out exactly where they were being made at and just pumped out a whole bunch more. What I'll also do is I'll take a few pictures of this and I'll put it up on screen, and I'll see if I can find pictures of a legitimate box just to see if there are any differences at all. But I get the feeling that this is pretty much the real deal. So here's the back side. It says Venom on both sides. And here's a bottom shot. And let's go ahead and open it up. Here it is. I gotta say, it looks really, really good. This is gonna be a tough one. Oftentimes with knockoff packaging, they will have like scanned or taken a picture of the actual packaging material and then use that to recreate it. This one is really difficult to see if they did that or not. It definitely doesn't come off on camera, and honestly, even to my eyes, I can't really tell if that's the situation or not. So pretty big thumbs up there. And at first glance, I would say that the Venom symbiote logo on the chest doesn't look very good in terms of how the paint is coming off. But honestly, I'd say that could also just be hit or miss in terms of actual factory figures, right? So my original one could actually just have been lucky, and then maybe this one just had poor QC. In fact, that could actually even be the case where these were deemed as unsellable because they felt that the QC wasn't good enough on them to sell. That happens too. These aren't always just straight knockoffs, but sometimes they are just that, where they can't be sold. On the back of this one, it also has the numbers here. and I will do another search to see if those are the actual accurate numbers or not. All right, let's go ahead and get this opened up. And I mean, the fact that they even have the little thing in there that is in every other Marvel Legends figure really, to me, seems like this might be the real deal. Okay, so here are the two Venoms. This is the legitimate one that I bought, and here's the AliExpress version. And I can tell you right off the bat that the Venom symbols are different. So on my left-hand side, the Venom symbiote comes off just a bit glossy. But on the AliExpress knockoff, it is not. It is definitely just matted on there. So I don't know if that might be because if this is a legitimate figure, if it's a change that they made during production, or if this is because, again, it could just be a straight knockoff. But that is a difference. And every Marvel Legends figure does have a sort of serial number on it. And if you look at the bottom of the feet, that's where it is on this one. And so this one is the legitimate one, and this one on top is the knockoff one. So you can see that they're close in number but slightly off. So it could be slightly off because it's a different run. It could be slightly off because when the factory that made the knockoff made it, they wanted to make sure that it was off by a few digits so that they didn't get in trouble with Hasbro. Hard to say for sure. Although if you are familiar with knockoffs and you have any idea of what it might be, then definitely let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, one of the other big things that I can tell, so of my legitimate one, you know, the joints are nice and tight, but on here, it's really loose, like really, really loose. Like you can see that he like wobbles. You can see that this has wobble, and that these are way too easy to move around. Both sides. On the original one, doesn't wobble as much. I can feel that this does have some wobble, but I can feel in there that it has a design in there which is intended to like kind of have like some kind of like click to it for it to stop at a certain point. But this one is really just kind of like, it kind of goes the whole way, so it's not there. The other thing is that this one feels a little bit lighter. I'll confirm the weights off screen, but I'll put the numbers on screen right now so you can see. So yeah, I mean, other than the logo being shiny here but not on the knockoff, the paint application looks spot on, exactly the same to me, both in color for the most part and in terms of application. Where they put it all is legit in the same exact places. I would say some of the red might be a little darker than the original, but not by enough that you would find it to be a problem. It's not enough that I would think that even if both were legitimate, that you would think that it was different enough to think that there was a problem, as much as just some minor differences at factory. Let's look at the accessories. So here's the legitimate one. Here is the knockoff. And I would say, barring just a little bit of paint mishap right at the eyes, right in between, it looks spot on, exactly the same. The colors of the head look exactly the same. The colors of the paint look exactly the same. If I dropped these, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart if I didn't already know that the paint between the eyes on this one was a little bit off. And here we have the right fist, legitimate one, knockoff one. And same situation where they do appear exactly the same. And finally, the other fist. Left hand fist. This one is the legitimate one. This one is the knockoff one. And again, the paint application where they applied it, the paint colors look spot on. So I just noticed something interesting. So on here's the legitimate one and here's the knockoff. And what I'm trying to point out is that there is what looks like kind of like a bald spot. So you can see a circle right there. And then around it, it's kind of dull. So I don't know why that is. That's definitely a little weird, but it's also kind of nice that it's a way to be able to tell the two apart, because the original definitely doesn't have that. The original just looks normal. And who knows, maybe that's what made these unsellable and these are real otherwise, right? Or maybe it was just the way that the knockoff makers made the figures and had this weird thing on the head. I don't know, hard to say. But to be honest, yeah, it is. I would say if I didn't already have the legitimate one, this one would be more than enough for me. Obviously, the arm thing is a slight issue, but I don't think it's a big enough issue that it detracts from it, because once it's in place, it's not too bad, because you're mostly just going to pose it anyway. No one's going to sit there and like do this with it unless you're literally just playing with it, and if you are, then it doesn't matter anyway. And if it really bothered you, then there is joint fixer out there to stiffen it up anyway, so that would eliminate that. If you're a collector and you're wanting the legitimate one, and I'm totally with you on that, that's okay. But if you just want the figure for what it is, or you want it to modify or any of that stuff, 30 bucks is hard to beat for that. So, however, if you're getting it for the box, I would caution against that, just because the box is not going to survive shipping very well. At least it's not going to come in pristine shape. I will have a link to it in the description down below, to the exact same one that I bought, the seller that I bought from. I believe I ordered it last Tuesday and then received it yesterday. So that's pretty quick. Coming from China, that's very, very quick. I also ordered a Hot Toys Scarlet Spider-Man knockoff that I'm really interested to see how good that one is. So definitely subscribe if you haven't yet to see how that one turns out. And otherwise, you should check out my Batman 1989 NECA knockoff versus the real deal, and I'll link that guy right here.